All right, ladies and gentlemen, so this is going to be video 2 of walking you through step by step what we do to source our investment properties, fund our investment properties, and then ultimately underwrite and close on those, move our portfolio forward. So today I'm actually going to go through how we sourced this one, but then also give you some ideas on how you guys can source some properties where you're looking. And then I'm going to answer a couple of questions that were sent to me from the first video. I'm going to shout out another real estate agent in my office. He's a newer agent. His name is Zach Madril. This is a big shout out to you, man. So he's actually the one that helped me source this property. The one we've got is actually only 4 doors down from another property we own that we really like. And he and I were just talking about investments, and he was actually running some errands with me. And I said, yeah, I really like that area. He goes, oh, okay. So are you going to look at that one that's for sale right down the street? I said, there's not one for sale down the street. He said, sure there is. And he pulls up the Zillow link and he sends it to me. And sure enough, it's for sale. I said, how the heck didn't I see this thing for sale? Well, it looks like it's not listed in the Pueblo MLS. So this real estate agent listed the property in the Denver MLS. So it syndicates to all the third-party websites, but none of us real estate agents in Pueblo see it. There's no sign on the property, which is common for multifamily properties not to put a sign out front. And so unless I'm just looking on Zillow for listed properties, I wouldn't see this at all because I don't look at Zillow for ones that are listed. I can look at our MLS. So one of those really weird circumstances where one got listed that I probably wouldn't have seen. So shout out to Zach to help us find this one. He sent it to me. It was actually listed about $50,000 more than what we wanted, but that didn't stop me. And so that's where the real negotiations started. And in the next video, I'm going to walk you through exactly what all those pre-contract negotiations look like. But if you want to source properties in your area, obviously, you can look on the MLS. If you're not a real estate agent, get a real estate agent that has access to the MLS, and they'll be able to show you anything that's openly marketed to the public. Zillow and Facebook Marketplace both have for sale by owner options. And so those are ones that aren't going to be listed, but people saying, hey, look at me. I want to sell my property. If you know a specific area you want to buy, and maybe nothing's for sale in that area, there's nothing that would stop you necessarily from going and knocking on doors, right? Hey, I don't know if you've ever considered selling your house, but I'd love to own an investment property in this area. If you'd consider selling, we can come to terms, I'll be your buyer. And then another one more in that niche too is if you know a certain area, you can go to the assessor's website and find the properties that are not owner occupied, where if the mailing address for the tax cert is different than the actual address, it's likely an owner doesn't live in that property, meaning it's probably a rental. Send them a letter or go to their mailing address if it's, in town or local. And that way you can go and do that same conversation, right? Hey, I know you own this rental over here. It's already a rental. I might be interested in buying it if we can come to terms. So those are some of your best ways to source investment properties in your local market. All right, so then the other thing I wanted to talk to you guys about is we had 2 actually really good questions come by from my first video. And the first one said, in the video, I stated that this was a little bit easier for us because we already have investment properties that we can leverage equity to get those home equity line of credit that we mentioned. And that's true. And so they said, what if I don't have investment properties already? How do I get in? And let me tell you, probably the easiest way if you don't have just the disposable income to save and come up with a down payment. Another option is you can get a partner, right? If somebody else has the income, those are options too. But if you want to do it all on your own, the best way is probably go and buy a primary residence that you live in. If you already own one, you might be a step ahead. But if you buy a primary residence, there's a lot of down payment assistance programs or access programs that get you into that home with not 20% down. And if you do that, you can get the equity in that home. You might have to wait a few years, but eventually you're going to have the equity in that home. You buy it for $200,000. A few years later, it's worth $300,000. Now you've got $100,000, right? And that's easy math, but that's the idea. And that might be your first step if you don't already own property. Once you get property, then you can start, also with that primary residence, what if you bought another primary residence and kept that one as a rental? Now you've got your first rental. That's called house hacking, things like that. So options are available. Shoot us a message if you want to learn more about introductory options in terms of like, how do I get in for the first time? But once you're in, it definitely does get easier. It's a little bit of a snowball effect. Second question we received was, I mentioned Vector Bank has that non-owner occupant home equity line of credit. What other banks do, which was awesome. We had a couple of lenders put in the comments of that video that they also offer those. Each bank will give you only a certain number of them. And so at Vector Bank, I can get 2. After I have 2, I'll have to go to another bank. So having options available, if you've got 15 properties and you want to leverage the equity off of all of them, again, not for everybody, you're not going to be able to do it all at one bank. It becomes too risky. And so having different options, and I know End Credit Union said they've got it. Red House Lending said they've got it. And I know there's a whole bunch of other lenders. Comment in this post if you're one of the lenders that has really cool investment options. There's also DSCR loans and there's non-qualified loans, non-QM loans that really there's options available for people that want to get into investing. We've got to look at the right banks to do the different types of programs we want, and we have access to a lot of the lenders that do those things. I've really enjoyed doing this so far. Again, the next video is going to include a lot of the pre-contract negotiations to show you how we got to the price and terms that we got to, which in my opinion is a very fair but good deal for us. And I hope you guys continue to watch. I'm Mark Didkoff with the Onyx Group, and we're here to help.